What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. What's up, Jen?
What's up? I'm a little stuffy, but I'm here.
Yeah, I am definitely in that same boat, a little stuffy, and I had, I think, a little too much coffee because I am jittery. If you
Nah.
guys are listening, obviously you're listening if you're hearing me. But anyways, I was going to say, I used to love coffee. I still do. And then recently, like over the last few months, this is just sort of like a random opening to a podcast.
Yeah, I
I
like
cut
it.
it almost completely out. And then I started working it back in where I was having like a third of a cup. I know that sounds silly, but I was having like, we have these little mugs that the kids made us for
Cute.
Christmas. I'll fill it up like a third of the way. So maybe that's like 5-6 ounces, say. So
I'll drink a whole pot.
yeah. So I have like a third of this cup, not a third of a cup, but a third of a coffee cup. And today I had probably a full coffee and a little too much. And I guess, can you get sensitive? If somebody knows, will you
Yeah, I'm
please
sure
reach
you
out?
can.
Oh,
You can get sensitive to caffeine.
in that amount of time, I cut it out for like a month. It wasn't
Who
anything
knows?
crazy. So anyways, here we are. But we want to talk about a couple different things today. One was a class that you hosted yesterday, Jen, and
Yes.
with a collaboration with someone. And we can get into that. And then I want to talk a little bit about pricing your services, specific services.
Yes.
So let's dive into that class. That was awesome, by the way. I was lucky enough to be able to attend, and I got to meet your friend Sam that you've told me
Yeah, she's
a lot about,
amazing.
but you know what I mean. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
very
I
cool.
think very highly of her. So
And we'll maybe have to get
glad
her
she
on.
delivered.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely took some nuggets out of that. And I was saying this morning on a mentoring call with someone that we sometimes just seeing someone new do something is refreshing because it's a
Yeah.
different, it's their perspective that you're
Agreed.
getting to see a little bit. And you can always take stuff out of that. And
Yeah.
I think
I hope
that's,
so.
yeah, for sure. And even like she was saying that each time she teaches a class, like she could go to the same salon and teach the same class 2 different times and they'll be wildly different, even though she's teaching the same information.
Mhm.
And I love that because it's otherwise you become complacent and you know, just kind of do the same things you've always done and see the same things you've always seen. So,
Correct.
very cool. But why don't you tell people how that became to be? Because that's kind of a funny story. You guys were together and you had some time on your hands.
We did. So coming off
hours.
a lot of time off the Australian Evo regional training. Literally, we were coming home, and I had just mentioned to Sam. Generally, the last year and going into this year, the top educators for Sullivan do like what's called like a ticketed class. So I'm aware that Tyler's going to approach both of us is to like, what do we want to be teaching in 2024? So I had approached Sam on our really awesome long flight home.
Tyler is one of the owners of Sullivan.
Yes, Tyler Sullivan.
For anybody that doesn't.
So on our really long flight home, said to Sam, what do you think about teaming up together and doing a collaboration where on stage I do the color, some of the new trends that Eva had put out, and you do the haircuts, and we basically just flow together. And, you know, it was a concept that I think Sam's an amazing hair cutter. I look up to her and her talents and want to showcase, you know, kind of coloring and cutting together. And I think a lot of times people don't always think of in their consultation, they're going into the color and the cut and they don't talk about the haircut till after they do the color. So I thought if we could collab together, it would show how you can place color depending on the haircut and talking about it all in one and not just like treating them so separately. And I wasn't sure if she would even want to collab. There are educators that just want to be the only one on stage, right? They want to do their own thing. They want to be the showstopper. But she was in. She thought it was a cool idea. So the next part came presenting it to Tyler and asking, you know, his thoughts on it. And would Sullivan want to support an idea like this that Sam and I collab together? And he thought it was super cool. So the next part came.
Wise choice, because it was fucking super cool.
Yeah. So now we got the green light. So now I have this idea that I have to like put in motion. So I had got the models together and came up with the flow of the plan, the layout for the day, and said to Sam, what do you think about this? She's like, that sounds cool. So yesterday was the day. It was like, let's do this and hope everyone thinks it's as cool as the idea was in my head and everyone co-signed, and hopefully it goes, you know, as well as you kind of you have that vision for, right? And I think it went better than I could have even imagined. It was really fun. Everybody loved it. Everything that came out of it was amazing. Everybody learned something, and every single person said they were inspired, right? So that's where it's at. We had 2 amazing models. We did 2 different types of
The
hair
best
color.
models, if they're listening, by the way.
They are the best models, and they are generally the ones I curate first for anything we're doing, especially on stage, because their hair is amazing, their attitude's amazing. They're just fantastic with hair and stage and their presence. So it was, yeah, really fun. So it's neat to hear the feedback, because when you're on stage, sometimes you don't realize even what you're projecting. You hope great information is getting out there. You hope you're doing everything to the standard of whoever came to the class, what their expectations were. And at the end, it seemed like we superseded all the expectations. So I was very proud of both of us. And sometimes you can have an idea and you can be too scared to share it because you're like, what if it does suck, or what if it's a flop? So I am glad that I did share it, and Sam and I would love to do another one. So it was a really cool collaboration. Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, is in that first idea. Like, you have the idea, or
Yeah.
like we always say, if you don't put things into practice, why even go to a class? Because I see all these classes, and I'm wondering if, obviously I'm not at every single class. I can't be. There's too many classes, right? But
Yeah.
how many people are putting into practice what they're learning, or what they are able to take out of the class? And
Right.
because you see the same, like last week, I think we talked about staffing in salons.
Yep.
So why are so many people still struggling? Like, are there is like nothing, are you not applying anything? You're just doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's the same with classes. And I
Right.
think you have to get out there. You have to present your idea to somebody and just go for it at some point.
Yeah. I mean, what do
Or,
you have to lose? I guess it
yeah.
sucks. It's a
And
flop. You don't do it again.
well, then you learn from it though. So it doesn't,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Are you going to get booed off a stage? You know what I mean? So like, if
Yeah.
you think about what the worst possible case scenario, like, does no one come? Great. No one came.
Right.
You need to work on
None of that
marketing, or you
happened for us,
need
right?
to figure something out. Yeah, no, it was really great. So how long have you been educating for?
For me,
How long have you
since
been
my whole
teaching?
career,
Yeah, I know you took some
25 years.
yeah, I know you took some time off when we had kids through those few
Yeah.
years, but
But I started my career educating, and then, yes, got back into it the last couple of years.
and do you still get nervous when you walk up there?
Oh, fuck yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about
I
that a
barely
little bit?
even talked all morning. So yes, I know that once I get going, Sam and I talked about this yesterday. There's always nerves in the beginning, nerves I put on myself. There's so many things, right? And I mean, you're on stage, everyone's looking at you. They're expecting you to deliver, like I said, whatever the expectations are in their head. The morning leading up to it, at first I was like, why didn't we do a morning class? Because then at least I get up, I go. So we had some downtime. I still had to prep. And there's a stress of, for this one specifically, I came up with the flow of it all. Like, this was my idea. I was curating it. I had been talking through it for the last, like, I don't know, a couple weeks, and just trying to figure out what would be the best way to keep people engaged, right? And to keep
Okay.
Sam and I really wanted us, like, working energy off of each other. So part of, like, I think the morning going into it, I watched some videos for the training videos just to get my, like, kind of my words and into, like, educating mode. And then, I showed up to Sullivan early and had to prep the models. But I mean, I don't think I talked really at all at home in the morning, because
No.
it's stressful. I'm scared. Like I said, it's your own thing. Like, you're just, I guess, for me, it's just that I want to deliver, and I don't want to be a time waste for people. I can't stand if I take a class and I feel like at the end it's a waste of my time and I took nothing out of it. And I have had classes that I've taken from other people. So I never want to be that for someone. And I think, especially now where we have a family, when I'm not home, I really want to make sure I'm being the best I can be outside of this home, and that I'm not wasting time for that. My kids now, well, they were with Gigi, my mom, which they love. They don't really care, but I'm not
Right.
here to be with them. And then I had asked you if you would come to support me, which that's a whole nother level of, I want you to be proud of me. So I'm stressed. Like, is he going to be like, that was really great? Or is he going to be like, you sucked? Like, because I know you're going to give it to me in real time, right? Which I want too, even though if it's not awesome.
There
But
have
yeah, I
been
want,
times, if anybody's listening, there have been times, not yesterday, because I thought it was a home run, but I I don't remember off the top of my head, but there was feedback that I gave you from one class, and I was
Yeah,
like, you really have to stop doing whatever it was.
I forget
And
too, but you're gonna give it to me, and I need that because otherwise I
yeah,
can't grow as an educator. I'm not always seeing myself. I mean, people take pictures and there's videos so I can watch some of it, but I want to always be better. And I also knew going into this class, like as much as I was so nervous and scared and wanted it to be the best it could be, I knew at the end of it, I would hopefully feel great about it and grow as an educator and grow as, just in the craft of teaching and inspiring people. It's just very exciting to me. And I always learn stuff from it too. So it's really cool. And I think there was this dynamic of Sam and I working together. We had never done that and just assumed it would work well. In my mind, it was going to be great. And it was, but there was also a part of that could not have been like as organically flowing as well as it did. So there's a lot that the anxiety going into those that leads up to it. Even to my
sure.
stupid outfit. Like I want to make sure I look whatever the part is, right? Like I just want everything to like be great. And the hair to do what I ask it to, because that could be that doesn't always happen either when it's color.
Yeah, there's the unknown element.
Yeah.
So yesterday could have not gone great. It started pouring, so there's humidity, and like just you never know what you're going to have to deal with. What?
From,
Oh, I'm back. You're
okay.
back. Okay.
Yeah.
There's just that element of unknown, is what I was
Yeah.
saying. If you didn't catch that, that we had weather yesterday and humidity, and yeah, you just never know what's going on. So, and the universe is always going to throw you a curveball.
Absolutely.
One of the things I want to touch on, because we just said most people get stuck in that idea phase. Everyone has great ideas. It's just
Hmm.
some of us take it to the next level and try to see things through. And some of us, I've been guilty of this, will procrastinate, or they'll say, I actually have never said this, but I'm a perfectionist. And I think people that are
Oh.
perfectionists are just, it's a it's a word to hide behind.
Hmm.
You're not a perfectionist. You're just not willing to get uncomfortable. Because
Right.
a perfectionist, like, it doesn't even exist. It doesn't even make sense. Nothing's perfect, so you're not going to be.
Yeah. Ever. No matter what you're doing.
But what do you, it might be fun for people to hear or inspiring. What do you get out of teaching? Because there is that unknown, and then there's the level of anxiety. Like you said, in the morning, you didn't even really talk. And then there's taking time away from your family. And I know, like, people get paid to educate, right? So there's
Hmm.
that. But let's
Yeah.
take that out. So if you looked at educating, what does the educator get out of it?
So it's interesting because I was coming off of the anxiety of leading up to curating this class and teaching it. The point where I can take that anxiety and really kind of like, I guess, breathe it out is where I'm like, I'm here just to show people, stylists, whoever shows up, you were there, a barber, some new information, something that might make whatever they're doing behind the chair easier, or something that might be like an aha moment that they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. Something like it's just for me, it is really, I like literally as I'm going into it is like, I'm here to do hair and just offer any amount of knowledge I can to help these people be better at what they're doing. And if I can do that, success. And that's why I do it. I think there are certain things when I take classes, and especially when I'm taking my educator courses, like I look for the nuggets that speak to me that I'm like, oh, I never knew that. Oh, I didn't think of that. Oh, that's a great way to like remember that. And those are the things when I teach, I'm like, let me share it this way because this is what inspired me when I took that class. I did one of the looks yesterday because it's one that when I learned it in Australia, I was like, this is wicked cool. Just using a different shape in the head to create a flow with color. I never thought of it that way. So that's why I taught that one because it's something that inspired me and I loved how it looked in the end. And it looks very complicated when it's finished, but it's super simple and easy to do. So I was like, wow, this is great to show somebody how to section. It's super simple, but it looks really complex.
I appreciated, so I don't do color, and I just cut hair. And I love living in that world. But I do find it fascinating to listen to people talk about color because I like the technical side that's paired with the art side.
Mm-hmm.
And you and Sam talked through, this was really cool, everything ahead of time. So your first client had some heat damage, I think you said. on her
Yeah.
ends.
Yep.
And then you were going to color her hair a certain way. She wanted a certain thing. And then Sam was going to do a haircut. So she was looking at where you were placing color so that
Mhm.
she's not cutting that color off.
Correct.
And you guys had sort of, I don't know, a good rapport. Is that the right word? It felt sort of natural. And
Great.
I don't know if you can expand on that anymore, but it was cool to see the whole thing. You guys had the whole plan ahead of time. And obviously that's what you're going to do for a class. But I think maybe some people had some moments where they were like, oh, thinking about it different. And even your second model, you explained that because you guys did obviously a full consultation, you explained this is how many times a year she gets her hair done. This
Mhm.
is what we do when she does this because of this for this. And it's thinking about the client in the future, I
Yeah.
guess, is
Yep.
a good way to put it. And then the hair itself at the end was beautiful. So
Yeah. They both came out gorgeous.
yeah, they were gorgeous and they were happy and seeing people smile, yeah.
Even that, it's fun. Like, I like to pick the models because I don't know, both of them I've known for a while, and they are great models, but they really appreciate being a model, and they love getting their hair done, and they trust when I ask them that their hair will be done to a certain level, and then they're always so happy too, which was really cool.
All right. Anything else you want to add about the class? I
No,
think
I
people
think,
should keep an eye out because if you missed it, you missed it,
yeah, sorry for
obviously.
that. I
Yeah.
think I had said to you the night before, like, I was hoping there was, a good group going. And I was like, I just think this is it's going to be cool. Like, I'm like, I
It
don't know.
was
It's an idea that I was like, this is really cool. And I think now that we've done one, hopefully we can get it out there so people understand, I guess, what we're doing. And you had said, you're like, maybe they don't understand this collaboration. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, cause it's new and we haven't done it yet. And we didn't have like, what is this going to look like exactly? Cause we hadn't done it, but it came together really well, and hopefully we do it again. And if you missed it, you should definitely be there because it is extremely cool. And not just because it's me and Sam, or
I
maybe
think
because it is me and
part of
Sam.
it
You're
too
pretty cool.
is the overuse of, and I actually talked about this with some people that were at the event, and I think I might have mentioned it to Sam too. I hate buzzwords because
Yeah,
it's
me too.
just bullshit, right? You're just making shit up. So you see collaboration and let's collab, and you see that stuff written everywhere, but I had never seen a class that was actually a full collaboration. And you guys explained what you did from the conception of the class when you sort
Hmm.
of visualized it on your flight home to what you did for prep work to even, I think you explained that you knew the models and how that relationship started. And then you guys dove into, Sam's going to do this because I'm doing this and then whatever. So you guys had that all figured out and it was really cool. And it was definitely different. It wasn't just like I'm going to do the color and then Sam's going to do the cut.
Yeah.
That's I guess technically yes, that's a collaboration, right? But
Yeah. But we really wanted to like
this was
be in each
focused.
other's faces in a sense,
Yes.
like really be
You guys
together.
played
Yeah.
well back and forth off of each other and there was times where you were both focused because you were both working, but then one of you would recognize that there was some like downtime. It would be like
Hmm.
when we have pauses on the podcast and you're sort of thinking it's okay because we can edit that out. But in real time, you can't really edit that. And you guys did
Right.
great at filling that sort of
And
blank
you want to keep the audience
space.
engaged, right? Like be part of it. So they're not just like, what's happening? Oh,
Yeah, because it's a demo. So you're not
yeah.
it's not hands-on. So you do need it to be engaging and it was. So
Well,
good
thank you.
job. Bravo.
Thanks.
Sam, if you're listening, and Sullivan, good job, everyone. Not
Thanks.
that you need my approval, but if anybody
But I
cares,
like it.
you got it.
I do. Yeah.
So let's
It's
touch
great.
on pricing a little bit for people because I've seen some posts recently in some like salon owner groups and people, this comes up all the time, but like, what do you charge for kids cuts? That's just an example we'll use.
Yeah.
And do
Because we
you,
see that one often.
do you want to sort of dive in? I know we talked a lot about this before. We should have just hit fucking record and
Right.
just had that conversation while we had it, but here we are. It goes,
Um,
a lot
Go
of
ahead.
people, I guess you can jump in if you want.
No, go ahead.
All I was going to say to sort of kick things off is you've got to get out of the mindset of like that scarcity mindset or what's the word I'm looking for? Like projection. Like you're
Yes.
projecting like, well, nobody in my town will pay that price.
You have no idea what people will and will not pay.
Don't project what you will or will not pay onto
Yep.
your clients. I learned that the hard way when I had my gym
Yeah.
because I had mostly like focused on group fitness because I was like, well, in this area, people don't want super high end personal training. Well, it turns out then I had clients that were paying me like $1,600 a month for one-on-one because they were
Mhm.
like, I want one-on-one. I don't want
Yeah.
your stupid fucking classes. I don't want to be running around with music, high-fiving people. That's
Yeah.
not what people were
Right.
into. There are people in your community that are business owners that have disposable income that you have no idea, but
Right.
they exist in every single community.
Right.
So
You may not know them, or you don't think you know them, or you do know them, but you don't know their financial situation.
correct. So go ahead, take over. I know you have a
I
lot of
just
insightful stuff because you've been doing this for decades, you know?
Well, I think a lot of times with pricing, and we see it all when certain groups we're in of when they're asking questions, just like, well, the salon down the street charges this, so like, what should I be charging? Like, you don't know what the salon down the street needs to make or what is
Right.
their priorities. I think when it comes to, like, we'll say kids cuts, right? Do you want to do mainly kids cuts? Well, then you may want to price your kids cut at an affordable rate so all of the kids are sitting in your chair. There's also we see a lot of people that a haircut's a haircut, and then we see people say, well, no one will pay that. Well, you have no idea. And at the same point, like, what do you need to make for your income, for your salon, depending on where you sit? And that's going to be where your pricing structure comes from. It shouldn't be based off your feelings, even, to be honest. Like,
Or the
I have
salon down the street.
yeah, or the salon
Do
down the
not
street.
do that.
No. Or I've seen people, I know this, and it will resonate. You think of that one client that's going to push back. She's like, I can't because, Susie will be mad at me. Okay, well, Susie's one person. Like, think of all the people that will celebrate you. Yes, when you have a price increase or you decide to, I'm going to structure my pricing this way. Will you lose clients? Yes, most often you will. But that should not be your focus. It should be on everyone else that's willing to sit in your chair, pay your prices, and celebrate where they're at. Like, that's where it's at. And it's not your job to like tell them how to budget for that. Like, when my price increase for my haircut went up, I have clients that used to see me every 4 weeks, and those that wanted to stay with me and could afford it, they might have stretched now to 8, and they're okay with that. I didn't check to make sure they're okay with that. They were just like, hey, I'm going to start booking 6 or 7 weeks for my haircuts now. Okay, cool. Like, here we are.
I have
That's
seen
just where that went.
stylists. Yeah, I have seen stylists and barbers who will sort of talk to some clients, and if they get pushback, then they're like, I can't do it. I'm like, you just talked
Right.
to like 2 people. So 2 people just decided that you're not worth making more money, or that you can't further your career, or that you can't charge more to maybe work a day less in the summer so you can spend
Right.
more time with your kids. Like it's not your responsibility. You don't owe anything to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I wanted to touch on with the pricing was, or one of the other things, because we talked about, I feel like a million this morning, but is your experience. So if you're raising your prices, which you should be doing, you should also be raising the standard for what you call a service, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like when somebody walks through the door, or even when they're booking the appointment. Like, it starts there, or even your branding. Like, what can you refresh? What can you update? And it's
Mm-hmm.
important to look at that stuff and shake that stuff up from time to time. And maybe it's as simple
Absolutely.
as something like, when your client arrives, are you having a conversation? Like, I personally, I don't even cape my clients. I talk to, maybe
Yeah.
even sit and talk to them, not through the mirror, but I'll face them, or else, my chair faces another chair. So I'll sit in that chair and just kind of catch up with them. And I feel like people appreciate it. And it's not adding I'm not talking about 10 minutes of time here.
Right.
Just a few
Just
minutes to say hello.
yeah, a few
Or,
touch points, right?
yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's being direct and offering somebody a beverage or whatever. Like, hey, can I get you a water? Hey, we
Mm-hmm.
have tea? Like, I'll just bring things up. And most of the time people are all set, but it's the little, like, sort of touches that you can do that really can elevate that experience for people. And, like, again, I don't know what it looks like in everybody's obviously business, but shake something up, try something new. And if you get any sort of good feedback at all, just go for it.
Yeah. Focus on that.
Yeah. I like to finish my services with a steam towel. I just kind of clean the sides of the face from shaving cream or whatever I'm using for a next shave. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But finishing with a steam towel, and I was talking about it yesterday with somebody who was at your class, like maybe putting a scent on there. I actually was
Mhm.
saying that one time I used like a lemon or something, and somebody was like, "Is that fucking 409 you just put on my head?" It was way too, it smelled like a cleaner. And so I learned from that though, right?
Yeah.
Don't use the
Yeah.
lemon one. It's too much. So again, maybe you can kind of touch on real quick, like what can people do to overcome this sort of scarcity mindset?
Oh, I think first it's to not decide or not to react to a client's reaction. Like I've had, you raise your prices or whatever, you set new standards, whatever that is. And some clients are going to ask questions and that's how they're processing. So don't start to react to how they're processing. Let them process it. I think other parts is just getting even used to. So if you have a price increase and it's a number that's uncomfortable to you, this sounds silly, but I would role play with some people of checking them out or talking about those prices so that that number becomes normal to you. Again, you may not be able to afford yourself in a sense, but other people can. And if you've been doing, your experience level is there, you're educating, you're taking classes, you've upped the experience for the clients, like it's time to level up everything else. And if it means like talking through it, even like a mentor, give us a call like, hey, I want to raise my prices. I never thought I could get a haircut to charge this much and it's very uncomfortable for me. Well, you talk through that and like why and think about this and think about that and think about everything you're offering and you're like, yeah, you're right. I am worth that. Like, yeah, you are. And then, maybe even certain things, if you wanted to get to a certain price increase, you may need small jumps to get there, and those small jumps might help your mindset wrap around it rather than one big one that makes you too afraid. So you lay out a way to get there for the vision of a lengthier street that you're going to be on until you get to that price point. Not everything has to happen in one big jump, and sometimes for certain people smaller jumps are the confidence builder they need to get to the price point they want to be at.
Yes, and one of the things I want to touch on real quick is that $5 jump that everyone does. Don't do $5. It's so if you're worried about upsetting people, you might as well go all in on it. I'm not saying if your haircut is $40 and you want it to be 100, I'm not saying do that in one
Right.
jump, but maybe you do go up $20 and you're going to lose people, but you don't have to be for everyone. Regardless of
Correct.
the size of your town, you really don't want to be for everyone. That's what makes your experience or your service special to the people that do find you and choose to sit in your chair. It can be a little bit exclusive if you make it that way,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
I agree. There's also methods to follow if you're due for a price increase or you're just say you're like, I really want to raise my prices. There's certain things you want to look at that you're hitting like certain math that we look at to make it that it's you're there and you're busy enough to warrant the price increase. So when you do lose those people, you're not losing your revenue. So it's we've seen people sit down with us in one-on-ones and like, I just wish my haircut was this much money. Okay, well, I wish a lot of things, but 0% of zero is still zero. So they may not always be ready for the price jump. They want more money, but if they don't have enough clients, they might not be ready to make the price jump because they don't have the clients yet. So then we have a strategy of this is where your numbers need to be so that when you get there, you can be really confident about that price increase and know that even if you lose some people, you're opening it up, you're ready for the other people, and you are busy enough to absorb with the price increase, you're not going to lose any money.
Yeah, that's another good point to add in there. It's you're covering yourself. What I do see too often is people come out of school or people start at a new salon and they want to raise their prices based on other people. Like we've had it
Mm-hmm.
happen in our salon where people are like, well, I've been here longer than that person, so my haircut should be more. Right. But what have you done? Like,
Right.
so first of all, you've been here, like you've existed here. I'm doing for people listening and not watching, I'm doing air quotes. Like, yeah, you've been showing up here physically, but what have you done? Have you put in the
Right.
work? Have you built a clientele? Are you even in a position where you're stable enough to increase your prices? Because we have allowed people in the past to raise prices because we try to be as flexible as we can. And we
Mm-hmm.
want people that are making their own decisions, but guided in our
Right.
business. So
And sometimes we need to have more guidance for them, right?
yes. And sometimes it's a no, you're not ready. And you know why? It's not like, it might be that you're not good enough. You haven't
Yep.
been doing it long enough. If you're getting like redos and people are coming in and I'm getting emails saying that my haircut's uneven and whatever, can somebody fix it? That's not the end of the world, but it's also not the time to be raising your prices. You've got
Right.
some work to do. And
Absolutely.
so understanding where you're at as well, like it's awesome. Like, yeah, you just said, like, I want a lot of things too. Well, yeah, I want, a few $1,000,000 of cash to just play with and a helicopter that I can fly around. But I live
Yeah.
in the real world, so I don't have those things. And just, I think people wrapping their head around that the time component is not
Mhm.
necessarily like, because your year and my year looks different.
Yep.
I can fit a lot in. We can do goal settings. We can write out goals. We can be strategic with things. We can hammer stuff. And we know how to, like you and I, business wise, know when and where to sprint and then when and where to back off. And this is a marathon pace.
Right.
And those are two different things as well. But a lot of people are, for lack of a better word, entitled. And I'm not talking about generational, I'm talking about just people in general.
Mhm.
And they think I should be charging more than that person. Well, your first mistake was to pay attention, because earlier we said, don't worry about the salon across the street or
Right.
across town and what they're charging. Don't worry about the other stylists in your salon and what they're up to. Right? I'm not saying ignore them, but don't worry
Your
about the
focus
price
should be
tag.
on you. What are you doing?
Yes, because if somebody came out of school and in 6 months they were full and their clients were coming back and they've already seen these clients like 3 times, then they should raise their prices.
Right.
You might have been there for 2 years, but you don't have a clientele. You should not raise your prices. Those things aren't, they're different. They're very
Right.
different.
Very. Yeah.
They're 2 different scenarios. So you can't just base it on, I keep saying the same thing, but this person's been here
Right.
less than me, so I should charge more than them. It doesn't make
Mhm.
sense.
Agreed.
Anything else?
No, that was great.
I didn't want to get crazy into there, but I think the big takeaways are have fun, do some education, and try new stuff.
Yes.
And then for the pricing, just don't project and figure out what you
Yeah.
need as far as to stay healthy with your business or even your relationship with your business, because the last thing you want to do is race to the bottom and then be salty. Nobody in
Correct.
my town will pay that. I bet you there are people in your town paying it, and when you find out, you're going to be like, damn it, I should have raised my prices 6 years ago. So
Right.
if you need help with anything, please reach out. And
That's
if
what
you
we're here
have
for.
any feedback or you just want to say hello, also reach out. And thank you to the people yesterday that were like, I listen to your podcast every Monday, because that's awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And that makes me want to never be like, should we end this podcast? Or
Yeah.
we're just sort of going. We don't even have a goal. We have some new stuff in the works, but yeah, it's just, it gives us a reason to keep producing
Yeah.
these. So
Thanks for
thank
listening.
you so much. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye.